Hello, my name is Yewande. Welcome to Knitting the Blues. And today, it's finally happened, guys. I have sitting beside me none other than the Noma Ndlovu. Noma, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, it just feels like we've been talking for a while, right? Let's be honest.
It's been ages.
It's been ages. I've been
Yes.
like stalking you and harassing you, and you've been very gracious. And
It's been a while.
It's just great that you're here.
Yeah, it's great. I'm finally here.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to it, honestly.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I wanted to say where we actually are, because you see that it's a slightly different location. We are in Craft Academy, which is this really awesome craft store, knitting, crochet store. It's owned by the lovely Allyson, and I'll say a little bit more about her shortly. Craft Academy is a store that sits in Prison Break Market, which I think for most Joburgers would be a familiar kind of social spot. It's a wonderful place with these sheds, and there's food and craft, and there's glass and steel, and there's fiber. So Craft Academy has, just as you can see, amazing wools that are available in all varieties. But what's particularly interesting is Allyson, of course, herself is a crafter. She crochets, she knits. I'm sure she does a bunch of other things. She sews, she quilts, and even some of the items in the store have been made by her own hands and are available for sale. It's a great spot, so I invite you, if you don't know about it, to pop in here. Okay, let me stop nattering along. The whole point of today is actually just to connect with you, Noma, and celebrate you as well. You're such an amazing designer. Your work is incredible. So the whole point, as you all know, is that we sit and knit and we talk. So what are you, I'm going to pull my things out. What are you working on, Noma?
Working on a show is a very simple one. As some of you may know, I was traveling a couple of weeks ago, so I decided to cast on something really simple, something I can knit anywhere, even whilst walking, though I didn't get a chance to do that. But it's a very simple bottom-up show. I was thinking of doing it a single skein project, but I think I'm going to add one more skein and make it bigger and much more loftier, because I love the feel of the fabric.
Yeah.
So I'm using Brooklyn Tweed. Unfortunately, it's been discontinued.
Yes.
And I'm really sad about it. So
my
I just wanted
goodness.
to put it to use again. This is Brooklyn Tweed Imbue Sport, and the color is Warbler.
Wow. Can I
So,
have a
yeah.
feel? Because I've never met Brooklyn Tweed in person.
It's
soft.
It's soft, and yet it's got that heather
Yes.
look, and
So you get the best of both.
Yeah, you
Right?
do.
Wow.
And it doesn't peel,
Yeah.
so it's amazing.
Awesome. So you think you'll probably use, what, 2 skeins or a skein and a half? Or?
Yeah, I've got 3 actually. So
Okay.
if I want to make it bigger, I'll just keep going, because it's the most relaxing project I've got right now.
Nice. And you were talking a little bit about this before we started recording, and you were saying, you wanted to have something simple to travel with, and so you just came up with, and I just thought, oh my goodness, how do you just come up with, right? How do you just suddenly, it's your own design, and how did you just come up with the design? Like,
It's interesting, because I don't know if it happens to all creative people out there, but you kind of think it up. You can literally see it in 3D in your head.
okay.
I don't know if that's
Not
the thing,
me.
but I think even when you're baking, before you make a cake, you kind of have a visual
Okay, I see
concept
what you
of what you want it to look like. So it's the same with knitting. Then now you have to go back to your stitch dictionaries or figure out which yarn to use, because that's the other important factor. Sometimes you want something that's cloudy, where you add more hair, and sometimes you want something that's crisp or something that's heathered. So the whole concept starts in the mind, at least in my case.
Yeah.
And I have to figure out what's the best yarn to use to get that exact thing that I thought up. So I might have like a whole bunch of yarn in the house and figure out that what I want to design really has to come from a different yarn that I have to order or buy somewhere else. So it's difficult to know where the idea is going to lead you, but once you have it, it really is great. And then sometimes you start working on it and it doesn't work. You realize it's impossible and you have to ditch it.
Does it? I was going to ask, does it also start as one thing? Because you have that image in your head, and then you begin. You decide on the yarn and you have the image, and then you begin. You've gone to the stitch dictionary. And then at some point, do you realize, maybe it's not what I thought, it's something else? Or is it usually pretty precise in your case?
No, it does happen, because sometimes, for instance, I see something in the shops, something that's probably machine knitted in the tiny thread,
Yes.
And I'm like, I like that. I want to make it. Of course, when I'm knitting it, the stitches are much larger, so it's not going to look the same. It's going to take on a different concept. But I think it doesn't stray that far off from what I would have come up with in the first place.
Okay.
But sometimes the idea really turns out to be a bit different from what I started off with. And I have to either make peace with it or forget about it.
Yeah, sure. Wow. Okay. So we'll be talking a lot more about your designs, but I remember you said you just came up with that, and I was like, how? Okay. So you're working on that. I am working on it's a Vilma top. It's a Vilma top. It's Gregoria fibers. I'm knitting it. I have talked about this yarn before. I got this yarn in Kenya. It's made in Kenya.
Oh, wow.
It's Coriadale. And I discovered it. I went to Nairobi for a writing festival, and I thought, well, this is not really the place to look for yarn. But I went. Somebody said no. There is wool here. There is local wool being made here, and I eventually found.
It's very beautiful.
Yeah, it's sold at Provisions. I have a video on that kind of Nairobi yarn crawl, and I got 2 skeins of this, and I'm attempting to make. This is my swatch. I'm very proud of this. I know it doesn't look like much,
great.
but for me, with the lace that I've tried to do this thing 3 times. Let me explain to you. I'm just not.
It's beautiful.
I'm right at the beginning. It's with the provisional cast on, and I had to bring something fairly easy. I'm just going to be knitting back and forth. So that's what we're working on. Okay. So once you've established what are we wearing? Because I think, are you wearing one of your?
Oh,
your
yeah.
vests?
It's one of my designs. I launched it earlier this year. It's part of my summer collection. So this is the Emily vest.
Yes.
I used Nurturing Fibers Eco Cotton. It's a locally produced yarn, and it's one of my favorites. It's very cool to the touch. Yeah. So even if it's quite hot today, I don't really feel the heat.
Yeah.
So it's called Emily because the color is Emily. I wasn't really creative with the naming on this one. And the interesting concept, I think, on this is that the ribbing starts at the back.
Yes.
And goes all the way down right to the hem.
Yeah.
So the sleeve bands are knitted at the same time with the body. So when you're done, you just have to do the neckband. But of course, I do the neckband before I'm done because I'm always curious about how it's going to fit and how it will look. So when I got to the end, I was like totally done. and
it's a double neckband. Right?
Yeah,
really nice.
I made it double because I was going to be layering this and wearing it with other things.
Okay.
Mostly with summer knits, I just do a single layer one. But then because I figured I might wear a crisp white shirt underneath.
Yes.
And I didn't want this to be floppy.
Yes.
So a double folded one is really good. And I also did a tutorial on how to do the double folding with a crochet hook.
On your podcast.
To create this neat finishing and hide the pickup line.
Super neat. Super
Yeah,
neat.
so-
Okay. I'll put a link to that tutorial for anybody who's curious. Yeah, because you have
It's
a
my
podcast.
favorite. Yeah. And not so active one, but I'm trying to get back to being active,
The videos you do post, I love. And that's how I kind of encountered you. I saw your patterns, but I really encountered your podcast.
Oh,
and then went deeper and deeper into your work and was like, oh, wow, and was really fascinated. So maybe that's a good segue. Well, just quickly, this is the Sabai top. I've talked about it before, so I won't say much about it. And this is the silk classic open cardi. That might not be the order of the words, but let's not be too sticky about things like that. But let's jump into it. I mean, I encountered you and I was just super curious and I wanted to know more about you and I was busy, fangirling. Could you maybe just talk a little bit about your kind of your background and your introduction to knitting, how you came to knitting and how you came to running a business as a knitwear designer?
Okay, so I started knitting when I was around 5 because I couldn't sit still. I still can't sit still and do nothing.
Yeah.
So I gotta be doing something with my hands. So I started when I was about 5 years old, and my aunt used to make stuff for people after work. She would knit, and I think she was also like me. She wouldn't just sit still and watch TV. So she used to knit up stuff for people. I remember by the time I was 6 or 7, I was helping her with her commission projects. She'll be working on one sleeve and I'll be doing another, because back then we were not doing circular knitting, we were just doing the projects in pieces. And she's the first person who introduced me to cables. Most of her projects were cables, so they are closest to my heart.
Wow.
So I love knitting cables. So I didn't knit for a while. I think for about 10 years. You know, when you're a teenager, you don't want to knit. And then when I started working, I went back to it because I had a very stressful job at some point. and I needed something to relax after work. That's when I came across Ravelry, and I realized that people were actually designing. So I put up my first design in September 2014.
Wow.
So I celebrated my 11th anniversary last month.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
thank you.
Yeah. Gosh. And so that was the return.
Yeah,
As a form of kind of relaxation, and then the realization that, hey, I could actually, I can do this. I can design.
Of it, I never stopped knitting. I remember I used to do gifts for people in my family, but at the time I kind of kept it private because, at that age you don't want to seem uncool, so there are things that you just don't do openly. So I still knitted, but it wasn't as regular as it used to be when I was much younger, and now, when I was much older, I was doing it anywhere and everywhere. Yeah. But during those teenage years, I think it kind of felt awkward to knit in public.
Yeah. Wow. And would you say that you're self-taught then as a designer? Because you had all that experience when you were young with your aunt. Did you just kind of, did you get the Stitch Bibles or did you somehow intuitively just begin designing?
Well, as for designing, I kind of started doing it. I wasn't comfortable though with sweaters and garments, so I started with baby blankets. I think it was because at that time I was having my first baby, so it was normal to kind of think along those lines. Yeah. And then I also had accessories because I was thinking I need to learn some more about designing sweaters. You just want to get it right. My biggest fear was someone knitting a sweater and turning out with 3 sleeves. So I wanted to be sure of how I was going to be writing instructions, and I bought a lot of patterns. I knit a lot of patterns by other people, and I didn't post most of them on Ravelry, of course. I wasn't that organized, but I did a lot of knitting of other people's patterns, mainly Brooklyn Tweed. That was my favorite brand. And I also did a lot of patterns by Solder Teague. That was one of the things that prompted me to design, because every time I'll be knitting a pattern, I'll be having these ideas that I want to explore. Wow. So that's how it all started.
Wow, incredible. And I mean, it's been 11 years. I mean, that's no small feat to be running a business like this for 11 years, to still be around, to still be growing, because I wanted to talk about sort of the evolution of your design story, because I think initially when you started the business, it was bigger than life.
Yeah,
bigger than life was sort of knits, the tag or the name. Bigger than life knits.
Yes.
And the recent kind of reincarnation of the business is a Noma and Ndlovu knitwear.
Yeah.
And you've openly, I think, talked about the evolution of your sense of style and your recent interest in elegance, in simplicity. I've forgotten what the third element was for you. But I need to say, I have a few of your patterns, but Zukanye is the one I'll be knitting next.
Oh, wow.
And the dress.
Oh, yes.
It's exquisite. It's a beautiful pattern. I'm very intimidated, but I bought it when you had your 50% discount recently, when on the day you celebrated the 11 years.
Oh, yes.
So I caught it then, and I have it right there. It's on my queue. It's going to happen. The one thing I need to say is I've been looking for what to knit it in. Because, not all of us can knit it in cattail silk, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way I could get hold of it, and I imagine it cost the earth. So I did want to quiz you, because I wanted to say, I thought, I looked and looked and looked. And I ordered one ball of this. It's papyrus. So it's not South African yarn, unfortunately. But it's papyrus. It's, bless you, it's part cotton. I didn't want to knit it only in cotton, because I think a dress, I don't want it to stretch.
Yeah.
And I didn't, so, if I had
what's the fiber content here?
It might be 50%, I'll look it up. It might be 50%, it's silk, it's got some silk in it, I think.
And it's very soft.
And some cotton. Okay, and maybe some linen.
That's a good blend.
Yeah. I've researched this. I even went on Ravelry to see what else people have made, and many dresses have been made from it. Yeah,
it is amazing.
And this was the colors. They don't have a lot of colors, I must say. So this is what I would do it in, this kind of grey.
Yeah, and
I even did a swatch, a Zukanye swatch. So it's
that is
perfect.
great because this gives it some character. It's not just a plain color.
Yeah, because it's a lot of the fabric.
Because even with the cattail silk I was using, it's got some little knobs to it.
Oh, has it?
So it gives it some extra dimension when you're wearing it. Of course, you can't see it in photos, but it does.
The knob, I didn't pick up on that.
So this is great yarn. I think any cotton blend would work. Even 100% cotton, I think something like this.
You think so?
Nurturing fibers.
It doesn't stretch?
I'm doing a dress in nurturing fibers for next summer, actually. I'll start working on it in December. But it's going to be a bit different because I'll add some reinforcements and I'll talk about them when I do the dress, of course. But it will make it possible for the dress to not
stretch
out and get too long.
Do you think Zukanye will do well with this? With this?
Yeah, I think so, because I
love nurturing fibers.
Yeah, I've used this yarn on some really large tops. There's one that I did called Namisa, and it had this ripping at the top, and then it flows out.
Yes.
It's still holding up. I've had it for almost 4 years now.
Wow, okay.
And it's very loose and flowy, but it holds up very well.
Okay.
So I think the dress will hold very well too.
Thanks. My dream was that I would be knitting Zukanye when we were together, but I haven't ordered the yarn, and I thought I'll get you. Get your opinion.
No, it's good. It's great, and the color itself, because with stockinette, I always try to get some interesting yarn.
Yes.
For instance, with this project here, I wanted the tone, the speckled yarn, and these blended colors to give it some interest. It's something that I always do when I'm knitting a stockinette project. And sometimes even some cables, you need to give them a bit of some life.
Interesting.
With colors like this, for instance.
Varying.
It
Variegation.
can look really good compared to just a plain color. So it's about, I think, getting to understand what you like and how the yarns behave, and doing a lot of swatches.
Yes. I'm looking forward to it, though. This is if you all don't, well, if you watched last week's episode, you would have seen Zukanye dress on my list, but it's got the pockets, and I feel like this is a feature of Noma and Ndlovu knitwear. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about the evolution of your style and and your current approach to design, because it's a lot of pockets and collars, like the shirt. What's the shirt? The Guguletu shirt. The Guguletu vest.
It's the top, the sleeveless one.
The sleeveless one. So there's some features that one is now kind of thinking, okay, that's a Noma and Ndlovu feature, right? Could you talk a bit about that?
So back when my business was bigger than Life Knits, it was when I was starting out. I remember I came up with the name with other people. I was like, what can I name this? It wasn't really intentional. So as the business grew, I was like, I can't be calling it a name that didn't come intentionally. And back when I started, I'll just look for an interesting stitch in the stitch dictionary. I didn't even have to look. If I came across something interesting, I was like, I want to knit this. But I didn't think about, do I want to wear it? So there's going to be a relationship between knitting something and wearing something. So the sweet spot in between is what you should actually knit. So sometimes something may be very popular, trendy, but if you know deep down that you're not going to wear it, then it's better maybe not to knit it, or even if you do, you can knit it for somebody else. I knit shawls, the larger shawls, for my sister. She likes them. I don't. I like single skein shawls. I don't like too much stuff on my neck. So when I changed to Noma Ndlovu knitwear, I only called it Noma Ndlovu knitwear because my name is very common here. I couldn't get to call it just Noma Ndlovu. So the knitwear is just something that was distinguishing from other Noma Ndlovus in South Africa. So I named it after my own name because it's now about stuff that I really want to wear and stuff that I enjoy knitting. So there are so many little design features that I add to every single thing that I put out there. I may not really enjoy knitting something so much, but if I'm going to wear it for a long time, I'd rather knit that stockinette project. But what I try to do is to add as much little details as I can. For instance, with the Guguletu shirt, there's the double knitted collar, which I think takes longer than knitting the whole shirt. And then there's the pleat at the back, and then there are those double knitted panels, like what you get really with the shirts when you buy them from the shops. And then I also did the opening on the sleeves, which was a lot of detail that I had to add there, and the cuffs are double knitted as well. So I added a lot of details that will keep you interested in the project, but at the same time you can wear it and dress it up and down. I was thinking you want to wear something at work or casually, because people spend most of their time at work. So my thought was I want to design stuff that can be worn at work and casually as well.
Yeah.
So that you get the most out of those 40 to 60 or 80 hours of knitting.
Yes.
So that's what inspires me now. It's not just the stitch or just picking some random color that looks bright and shiny, but it's stuff that I actually want to wear.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I really love that. Could you take us through a typical day of work for you? Like I mean, of course, there are many varied things I imagine you're doing, but what would be a typical day in the life of Noma Ndlovu designing?
Okay, so, well, of course, early in the morning, I take care of the kids, the school run and everything. Okay, I don't do the school run on most days, to be honest.
Okay.
But I settle down at around 8:30, and I try to do at least 1.5 to 2 hours of admin because I want to spend the rest of the day knitting as much as I can. But if I'm doing pattern writing, of course, I'll spend 4 hours writing a pattern, or if I'm recording a video, it's like 2 hours of setting up,
Yes.
and makeup and everything, and then by the time you sit down to record for 30 minutes, you've done like 2 hours. Then there's the editing. So some of those days are different, but a regular day without all the unique stuff involves 1.5 to 2 hours of admin and then knitting. So that was a very intentional move on my part, because initially I used to feel guilty about knitting during the day. I thought it's something I should do in my own spare time, but it is actually the work that I do. So particularly on Wednesdays, Wednesday is my knitting day.
Okay.
And if I only do admin if there's something that pops up in my mailbox.
Wow.
Otherwise, it's a knitting day. I catch up on my projects and knit as much as I can, because there's no way I can launch stuff that doesn't exist. I had to come to terms with that. Knitting is part of my work, even though, you get to sit and do it in front of a screen or Netflix or whatever. And you kind of feel guilty because you know that, it's too relaxing.
This is
but
fascinating.
The truth is, it is work.
I
part of my work.
want to talk more about this. So I absolutely agree with you. Of course, it's your work. And I just did a podcast where I was talking about leisure, and I was talking about me feeling guilty knitting. When I first started knitting, I would feel guilty if somebody saw me, even if it's a Saturday or whatever, maybe I should be doing the dishes, or maybe, it seemed like there was this guilt about sitting down and doing something that is so pleasurable.
Yeah.
So I'm just finding it interesting that you're also saying that even as a knitwear designer, you are you're doing your job and your work, and there's still this feeling of guilt. What do you think that's about? I'm fascinated by that. Is it because we're mothers? Is it because we're trained to always work? You mustn't relax, or is it also that your job is so nice? And you feel bad that your job is so it's a nice job, but you work hard, which doesn't mean you don't work hard. You work hard.
I mean, we've done the corporate thing, we've done all the other jobs out there. We know how it's like.
Yes.
To get up there, answering phones, dealing with emails, hustle, deadlines, and everything. So when you do something that actually allows you to sit back and work on a project whilst watching your favorite series, you start feeling, is it really okay? Should I really be enjoying this so much? So that guilt, I think, comes from maybe the place where you come from, your previous jobs, and you know how they were like, and now you're having it maybe, I would want to call it easier because it's a lot of work. I noticed that I don't even get much rest. I can't even separate work and personal
and rest.
time. But I've learned to treat knitting itself as work. And as a designer, maybe it feels kind of different because I can be working on this and rip it back. Just this morning, I had to block a little piece of knitting. I had just done the back and front and joined about 1 inch. But I was worried that it may not be the right size. So I had to block it. If I get home and find that it really didn't grow because it's ripping, it's ripped cables. If it doesn't grow as much as I wanted, all that work that has taken about 2 weeks is going down the drain. I have to rip it off. So it's not as relaxing, I think, as we sometimes assume, but somehow you expect to grind harder and have more pressure, like what we would get when we were doing like formal employment. So I've learned that knitting is part of the job and it's not something I should put on my spare time. My spare time is mine
Yeah.
and my family's time. So if I don't want to knit in the evening, that's okay, because I would have done that during the day.
Nice.
And
Yeah.
it takes the longest, actually. And of course, there's the marketing that also takes up a huge chunk of time. But I need to allocate as much time for knitting as I can, because that's the product that I'm actually selling. There's no way I can come and convince you that I really designed the sweater and it's really beautiful. Please buy it when you haven't seen it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
there's got to be some physical, tangible, knitted piece that I've done. So I think we need to look at it just like painters.
Yeah.
I think they really enjoy their work. They enjoy painting
Yeah.
and doing that. When you're looking at it, it's like, wow, that's the most relaxing thing in the world. But that is the work. That is the creative process.
Yeah.
So I no longer feel guilty about spending the whole day knitting and watching my favorite series. I love it. I think that's the best.
And
yeah.
you've kind of earned that. I mean, you're running this business, right? Of course, it's been a labor, and so
Yeah.
you've made that happen for yourself, which is incredible. What do you? Two questions back to back. What do you love the most about your job, and what's the most challenging?
I love the creative process. I love the fact that you're creating something that hasn't existed before in that particular form. So even though there's a similar pattern out there, it's not exactly the same as yours. So when you create something like that, you're literally coming up with something very unique. And then the challenge is that in the knitwear designing business is that you incur all the costs at the beginning before you actually put something out to the world.
Yeah.
So you buy the yarn, you do the labor, you test the pattern, you have it tech edited, and you do the photography. I don't do my own photos.
Okay.
Yeah. So by the time you've accumulated all these costs, you then put it out for sale. So some designs do well, others tank. So you have to take that risk every single time you design something.
Yeah.
And sometimes you might think, wow, this is a nice design. And you might even get some positive responses when you're posting the progress on Instagram. And then when you launch, it just goes, ooh,
It doesn't. Yeah.
yeah. So you never know what's going to pick up and what's not going to until you put it out there.
Yeah. And I mean, and your main selling space is Ravelry, or you have other platforms that you sell on as well?
I sell my patterns on Ravelry and Etsy, so that people who are not on Ravelry can do Etsy. I considered doing a website, and it's still something I'm thinking about, but I've just been so exhausted, honestly. So I have to put in the effort. And now I've got 220 patterns. No, actually more than 220.
I'm sorry, that's amazing.
So the idea of transferring all that into a website or any place for that matter is just scary.
Yeah,
I used to be on Love Crafts, but it's very limiting.
Okay.
So I don't put stuff out there anymore. I'm still trying to figure out how I can get 200 plus patterns on a platform without taking so much of my
long time
doing it. Yeah, there's a lot of admin to do that. So I don't even remember most of the names of my patterns anymore.
Well, talking of names, I was going to ask you, how do you choose the names of your patterns? Because you've got, usually, and being South African, I recognize a lot of them are actual names, Tabo and you're using, are those people you know? Is it just random? How do you decide on the name of or Guguletu shirt, or Zukanye dress?
Well, some of the names actually have a very, a meaning that's related to the pattern. For instance, I designed 2 sweaters for Brooklyn Tweed when they were launching this yarn, and I called them Liruo. Yes. So the name Liruo means wealth. It's because the colors looked like gold, and I thought, wow, gold, wealth. So the name's kind of related. And Zukanye is a closer name that means shine. And that the word shine is not just about just shine, but it's more of a charge to shine.
Yes.
So when I designed that dress, I was like, I want something that's really going to shine out there, because it was very challenging. It took me 2 years to design that dress.
Wow.
And I underestimated how much the silk will grow. And then when I put in the pockets and I tried it on, I was like literally done with the dress. The pockets were on the hips. So I had to unravel all the way to the waist. And I was like, I ain't doing this year. I'll save it for next year. So I ended up launching it early this year. I had to rework that part and write very clear instructions to totally block before you separate for the pockets, because if you don't do that, you don't know how much your yarn is going to grow.
Yeah.
So that instruction is very clear in the pattern that
Wow.
once you get to the top of your hip, because that's where the pockets go, I think, you have to make sure that it's fully blocked, not just stem blocking, fully
Proper.
block your yarn.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're
No shortcuts.
knitting, no shortcuts, so that you can be, because it has to be precise.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you're knitting, you have to maybe do an inch or so shorter than where you want it to go,
Because of the growth.
Yeah, because of the growth.
Yeah.
So that was an important lesson for me. But some of the names really mean, some names mean joy. If I really enjoy knitting something, you'll find the names like Tabo. Tabo means joy.
Yeah.
So that's where some names come from, because most
Okay.
of our names have got such
Yes.
meanings like happiness,
Yeah.
or names like Lirato, which is love. So if I really love a project, I'll call it Lirato.
Yeah.
I've done some socks, and I call them Lirato socks.
Yeah.
And I did a top that had the same
Motif.
slip stitch motif, and I
Yeah.
called it the Lirato top because it means the same thing. I loved it. I enjoyed working on it at the time. They were the fastest socks I've ever done, so I called them Lirato. So sometimes the names really have that direct meaning as to
Lovely.
the experience or what I intend for the design.
For the
to
design.
mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
What do you say to young? I mean, I always
Say
feel
that
that it feels as if it's a kind of underdeveloped industry in South Africa. The yarn industry, but also knitwear design and the possibilities in terms of what in a country where unemployment is so high and we're looking for more and more ways to more and more entrepreneurial pathways for young people. What are your thoughts about if you had to talk to a room full of young people and about how they could approach this as a potential way to be entrepreneurs? I don't know, what advice do you have, or would you agree with me that this is untapped potential for the country?
Oh yeah, I have thought about it, but then I think our biggest problem, particularly here, is that there's this mindset that crafts or craft-related skills are for people who are less educated. And that's why you see people looking down upon, for instance, FET colleges. So such stuff is separated to such spaces that it's either you're academically strong or you are in an FET college. So that mindset is the one that stops people from getting involved. So people are shocked when they realize that actually you need to have some mathematical skills to pull this off.
Yes.
You need to understand geometry. You need to have some good algebraic understanding in order for you to calculate stuff. So if you'll notice, a lot of people in our industry have got scientific qualifications.
Yourself
So-
included. I mean, you have a mathematical background, economics.
Yeah, I
Finance.
was in finance, and later on I focused on personal finance, but it's always been like business qualifications with a lot of calculations and
Yes,
stuff.
yeah.
So that's the challenge I think that we have, is the mindset. A lot of people do not understand here why we knit. They're like, it's a craft for older people. It's not something that as a young person you can do. I normally hear people saying they don't have time. They're like, I wish I could knit, but I don't have time. But you see the same person scrolling on the phone the whole time, watching a movie and scrolling, I would go crazy. There's no way I would watch a movie without knitting
Yeah.
or doing something with
Yeah,
my hands.
same, yeah.
I can't do that. So I think it's a mindset thing.
Yeah, okay.
If we
Interesting.
were to get to a point whereby we do not treat certain skills as if they are for people who do not have certain levels of education, then it will be accessible to everyone. It will be something that everyone is willing to do.
Yeah.
So I think the mindset issue that we have
Interesting.
is the biggest barrier for people. They don't understand that just because you do some manual skill doesn't mean that you're not educated or
Yeah.
smart enough.
Yeah. It's like a bias. It's a
Yeah.
prejudice, actually, that you're pointing to.
And
that's
it's-
somehow in the culture, in the society. Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, when you realize that we are the top 2 largest producers of mohair,
Yes.
but a lot of people do not even know that
Yeah.
that South Africa is
Yes.
among the top 2 and one of the largest producers of merino. So we would really have a huge hub here if we were focused on our crafts.
Yeah.
But And it's not just South Africa, I think it's the whole continent. It's like the crafts are just not there and it's very silent. There are like 54 countries. You would expect a very vibrant community, but we don't have all of that because of that mindset that it's for certain people, not for everyone.
We need a craft revolution. You know, we need to, and also to remember our history. Because if I grew up in Nigeria, you know, I remember growing up in the small town I grew up in, there was a man there. My mom would often go to him. He used to make baskets. He would be weaving. He would be like, there's a lot of craft history in our stories, you know, in our stories across the continent. So I do think you're right, though. And I had never thought of it that way. So I think what you're pointing to
I learned basket weaving as a kid
too,
from a lady who could do it. I don't remember it because I was still like 6 or 7.
Yes.
But I think if I sat down with all the stuff, it will come back.
Yeah, it must. Yeah. Wow. What other crafts do you do? Because it sounds like you do more than just knitting.
I don't like sewing.
Why not?
I don't know if I should tell this story or not. But I used to learn how to sew at school, and I had a very mean teacher.
Okay, that'll do it.
It was my first class in high school, like first class, first day, mean teacher. And she asked us about the different types of seams that we know. And I was a kid. I mean, I'd never sewn much. I could sew, but I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know the official names of stuff.
Yeah.
And then she called us a bunch of confused cockroaches. I mean, I still haven't forgotten that.
You
and
remember the insult.
It's dark. And I remember asking my mom if I could drop the subject, and the answer was no. And I never liked it. So even up to now, that barrier is still there in my mind. But it's not something that I really liked in the first place. But then she made it worse.
Yeah.
So I don't like sewing. I don't do much crafts anymore. But I do other things that are away from the fiber arts. So I love baking, but I don't do it as much as I used to when I was much younger. Now I've moved into something totally different. I'm learning jazz piano, so I'm working towards being a jazz pianist.
Oh, wow. So I saw one of your images you were posing next to with one of the shirts,
the stripes.
One, yes, the blue and white.
Yeah.
You were next to a piano. I don't know if it was a grand piano, but it was a piano. And
It's
I was
an
like,
upright,
ooh, okay. Oh, fantastic. So it wasn't it's not just deco. You actually play it.
Yeah, I've been doing it for 3 years now, so I can play a couple of jazz standards now.
That's amazing. Okay.
Not so perfectly, but it's the hardest thing I've ever done, actually.
Wow.
I thought school was difficult at some point, but that's nothing. That thing is hard.
Yeah.
I've got a great deal of respect for every musician out there.
Wow.
It's some serious skill that you have to develop. And I like that it's different from knitting.
Yeah. Totally different.
Yeah.
And might we be coming to a Noma and Ndlovu recital anytime soon? Jazz recital.
Not anytime soon.
Wear your knits.
Yeah. You know what? Not anytime soon. I realized that the piano is more intricate. It's almost like starting to be a medical doctor. You don't start doing surgeries in your second year. That's just how the piano is like. To get to a point where you're actually doing performances without making mistakes, and because it's all about developing that muscle memory and understanding the theory part of it. So it takes a long time.
Wow.
Years.
Yeah, agreed.
Like a lot of years.
I will be pinging you when I make my zukanye. I will be pinging you.
I'd love to chat about it actually, and you just text me on your work.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. Thanks for that. I'll keep in touch. I'm very excited. It's kind of my most exciting thing. But so what I'll do from now is like order the yarn and start. And it's going to be my project.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
I love that
think this
color.
would be cool. I think this would be cool.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you so much. I mean, thank you for just engaging and connecting and being here and being yourself. And thank you for your work.
Wow. It's been a pleasure.
Cool.